Panama is one of the fastest-growing destinations in Central America, and the Panama Canal is the country's star attraction. Although it's on everyone's list of things to experience, the canal is more important as a global shipping transit than a tourist experience. Unfortunately, Elon Musk has revealed that the Panama Canal is on the verge of dying. That's right. As shocking as it seems, the Panama Canal has been on its last breaths for quite some time now. Will the Panama Canal finally shut down for good, or will a miracle occur that saves it at the last minute? Who knows? Today we'll be going over just what caused the Panama Canal to begin declining in the first place. Stick around till the end because this is bound to shock you. What is the Panama Canal? Panama Canal, Loctite Canal, owned and administered by the Republic of Panama that connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans through the narrow Isthmus of Panama. The length of the Panama Canal from shoreline to shoreline is about 40 miles, and from deep water in the Atlantic, more specifically the Caribbean Sea, to deep water in the Pacific, about 50 miles. The canal, which was completed in August 1914, is one of the two most strategic artificial waterways in the world, the other being the Suez Canal. Ships sailing between the east and west coasts of the United States, which otherwise would be obliged to round Cape Horn in South America, shorten their voyage by about 8,000 nautical miles by using the canal. Savings of up to 3,500 nautical miles are also made on voyages between one coast of North America and ports on the other side of South America. Ships sailing between Europe and East Asia or Australia can save as much as 2,000 nautical miles by using the canal. From its opening in 1914 until 1979, the Panama Canal was controlled solely by the United States, which built it. In 1979, however, control of the canal passed to the Panama Canal Commission, a joint agency of the United States and the Republic of Panama, and complete control passed to Panama at noon on December 31, 1999. Administration of the canal is the responsibility of the Panama Canal Authority. The canal locks operate by gravity flow of water from Gatun, Alajuela, and Miraflores lakes, which are fed by the Chagres and other rivers. The locks themselves are of uniform length, width, and depth and were built in pairs to permit the simultaneous transit of vessels in either direction. Each lock gate has two leaves, 65 feet wide and 6.5 feet thick, set on hinges. The gates range in height from 46 to 82 feet. Their movement is powered by electric motors recessed in the lock walls. They are operated from a control tower, which is located on the wall that separates each pair of locks and from which the flooding or emptying of the lock chambers is also controlled. The lock chambers are 1,000 feet long, 110 feet wide, and 40 feet deep. Because of the delicate nature of the original lock mechanisms, only small craft are allowed to pass through the locks unassisted. Larger craft are guided by electric towing locomotives which operate on cog tracks on the lock walls and serve to keep the ships centered in the lock. Before a lock can be entered, a fender chain stretched between the walls of the approach must be passed. If all is proceeding properly, that chain will be dropped into its groove at the bottom of the channel. If by any chance the ship is moving too rapidly for safety, the chain will remain stretched and the vessel will run against it. The chain, which is operated by hydraulic machinery in the walls, then will pay out slowly by automatic release until the vessel has been brought to a stop. If the vessel should get away from the towing locomotive and, breaking through the chain, ram the first gate, a second gate 50 feet away will protect the lock and arrest further advance. The third lock systems of the third set of locks project, begun in 2007, were inspired by the Barendrecht lock in Antwerp, Belgium, and water-saving basins used in canals in Germany. Some 190,000 tons of all steel, mostly from Mexico, were entrenched in heavily reinforced concrete to build the lock chambers on the Atlantic and Pacific sides, and the new lock gates measure up to 33 feet wide, 98 feet high, and 190 feet long. The new chambers and basins, which control the water flowing from Gatun Lake, were designed to minimize the turbulence of water flow and the disturbance to transiting vessels. The basins were completed in June 2016 and include 158 valves consisting of 20,000 tons of structural material. Officials say those water-saving basins are the largest in the world and facilitate a 60% reuse of water. Whereas the existing locks use 52 million gallons with each use, the new locks use 48 million gallons. Unfortunately, the Panama Canal is now in serious danger. Panama Canal in danger. The vestiges of an ancient forest tell the story of just how bad things are at the drought-stricken Panama Canal. A few hundred feet from the massive tankers hauling goods across the globe, gaunt tree stumps rise above the waterline. They're all that remains of a woodland flooded more than a century ago to create the canal. It's not unusual to see them at the height of the dry season, but now, in the immediate aftermath of what's usually the rainy period, they should be fully submerged. With water levels languishing at 6 feet below normal, the Canal Authority capped the number of vessels that can cross. The limits imposed late last year were the strictest since 1989, when the conduit was shut as the U.S. invaded Panama to extract its de facto ruler, Manuel Noriega. Some shippers are paying millions of dollars to jump the growing queue, while others are taking longer, costlier routes around Africa or South America. The constraints have since eased slightly due to a rainier than expected November, but at 24 ships a day, the maximum is still well below the pre-drought daily capacity of about 38. As the dry season takes hold, the bottleneck is poised to worsen again. Sharmfer Mahmoud. The recent drought has significantly increased shipping costs, with dry bulk goods rising by as much as 14% year over year, vehicle carriers by 12%, and liquefied petroleum gas and liquefied natural gas by 5% and 3%, respectively. The Panama Canal plays a crucial role in facilitating energy trade between the Americas and Asia. Shipments of U.S. and Brazilian crude oil, as well as Canadian barrels re-exported from the United States, often transit the canal, including refined products and LNG. The canal is particularly vital for LNG, as nearly all operating U.S. LNG capacity is on the U.S. East and Gulf coasts. Liquefied petroleum gas, an essential input for petrochemicals, heating fuel, and engine fuel, is also highly dependent on the canal. The U.S. Gulf Coast accounts for about 40% of all seaborne LPG shipments, with most volumes directed to Asia. However, increasing strains on the canal's capacity have reduced its use as a transit point for energy in favor of alternative routes. Average Asian imports of crude oil, clean products, fuel oils, and LNG decreased by 6% in 2020 compared to the average volume between 2021 and 2023. While Asia has historically sourced energy cargoes from multiple regions, including the Middle East and the Indo-Pacific, the decreasing reliability of the canal has significant consequences for the U.S.'s ambitions to leverage energy trade as a foreign policy tool in the region. For instance, average monthly LNG volumes bound for China, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan via the Panama Canal declined by 82% compared to the 2021-2023 average, while those transiting via South Africa's Cape of Good Hope surged by 472%. As a result, U.S. cargoes to Asia have become costlier and have a higher emissions footprint. Without a plan to address the canal's capacity issues or clear alternatives for westbound cargoes, the Trump administration's ability to use energy trade as a foreign policy tool with Asia remains constrained. The problem could worsen as drought and water availability further restrict passage. This explains why the canal's limitations have escalated from a recurring issue in energy markets to a major concern for the White House. Trump's concerns about the Panama Canal treaties date back decades. In 2003, when the Trump-owned Miss Universe contest was held in Panama City, he first became familiar with the country and even then expressed the view that the United States had been shortchanged by the treaties. His interactions with Panama intensified in 2018 when a legal dispute arose between the Trump Organization and a Miami-based hotel investor attempting to sever ties with the Trump brand, leading to a standoff with Panamanian authorities. Eventually, Trump's name was removed from the disputed hotel in Panama City. Trump's claims that U.S. ships are being overcharged and unfairly treated in violation of the Torrijos-Carter Treaty lack supporting evidence. The Panama Canal Authority, PCA, charges fees based on ship size and type, with recent price adjustments driven by lower water levels affecting transit capacity. The PCA's pricing structure is uniform, impartial, and non-discriminatory, applying equally to all ships regardless of nationality. Key factors influencing pricing include ship dimensions, cargo type, and additional port services.